Hello guys, welcome back to another exercise. So today in this exercise we will install Hyper 5 in our Windows 11. So normally we use VMware Workstation Pro or VirtualBox to create virtual machines, but today we are going to use a Windows built-in feature. So if we go to turn Windows features on and off, here we will find Hyper 5. So you can check here that I have Hyper 5 installed already. So if it is ticked, it means it is installed. So we'll expand it and then you will find Hyper 5 management tools and Hyper 5 GUI management tools. So we will select everything and then we press OK. So when we press OK, it will install everything. So I don't need to install it because it is already installed. So after installing it, we will create a virtual machine in it, and then we create an RDP for it so that we can access this virtual machine from another server as well. So if I open Hyper 5 Manager, you will find that the interface is like this, and on the left we have our server. So this we can remove it as well, or we can access another servers. And on the right we have the first option, which is quick create, and then we have new. So from new option we can create a new virtual machine, new hard disk or new floppy disk. And then we have some settings. So in the settings we can change the location of our virtual machine and virtual hard disk as well. And then we have NUMA spanning, which allows us some extra memory if we are running low on memory. So these are the settings that you can scroll. And now we are going to create a new virtual machine. So we go to new and we click on virtual machine, and it will open the interface for the virtual machine. So here we'll click the next button, and then we give it a name. So I'm going to give it test RDP server or something like this. So we give it test RDP server. Okay, and then we click on next. After we click next, we will select generation 2. So generation 2 is for the UEFI mode, so it is the new BIOS mode. And then we are going to choose the memory option. So I'm going to use dynamic memory, which allows auto expanding. It means if our virtual machine need extra memory, it will take it from the system memory itself. So I'm going to use around 6 gigabytes, so I am putting 6000. And then for the networking, I'm going to use the default switch. And here we have to create a new virtual disk, and I'm using around 35 gigabytes for the size, so 30 should be enough. So we create a new hard drive, and then we are going to select the image or the ISO file which we are going to use for the installation. So I'm going to use the Windows server. So this is the image. So we click on next and finish. So our virtual machine is created. Now we have to boot it. So we double click on it. So before I double click, I'm going to show you my task manager. So if you look at the performance here, you can see that my CPU and memory usage is very low. It's minimal, so 10 to 15% of the CPU, and memory is around 6 gigabytes or 5 gigabytes for now. So we are going to minimize it, and then we switch it on. So we are going to turn on our virtual machine. So we press the start button, and now we have to do the installation of our operating system. So press any key, and now the installation has started. So you can see that I'm using Windows Server. So we click on install now, and here you will notice that the setup has started. And we are going to select Windows Server 2022 Standard Evaluation Desktop Experience. Okay, we click next and then accept the term and conditions. Next, custom installation, and we have to create a new hard drive. So we'll create it and apply, and then we click on next. So this will take some time, so I'm going to fast forward the video until it is installed. So you will notice that it will complete very soon. So we are at 97% now, and it is completed. Now the PC will reboot automatically. So we can press the restart now button as well, or it will wait for 10 seconds to restart automatically. And here you can see that it is asking to restart the PC. So we can click on restart now button, and the hypervisor will restart automatically. So our virtual machine is restarting now. So it is saying getting devices ready, so it can take some time. So I will fast forward the video when it takes time. And now our virtual machine has booted up. Okay, so it's asking for the password. So the default username is the administrator, which is the default user, and we're going to put a password. So I will put test server 123, something like this. Okay, test server 123 should be okay. and then we have to re-enter the password, and then we click on finish, and our installation is done. So now we have to press Ctrl Alt and Delete. So if you go to action, you will find Ctrl Alt and Delete command, or else you can use Alt Control and button, because if you press Alt Control Delete, it will open the task manager options in your Windows. So after we enter our password, we are in our virtual machine. So our Windows server has started, and now it will open the server manager on its own. So you can see that the server manager has started. We click on yes for the network settings, and you can see that we have internet access from our host machine. So here if you notice that I am on my Wi-Fi. So let's do some initial setup. So the first thing I will select is do not show this message again. And then we have to go to manage, and we select server manager properties, so that the server manager doesn't start on its own or when it is booting. So do not start server manager after login. And then we go to local server, and here you will notice that we have remote desktop option. So now we are going to create the RDP link for this virtual machine. So we click on disabled button, and then we select allow remote connection to this computer, and it will create some firewall rules which are used for the remote desktop. And then we have to select the user. So we click on add, and we put administrator here. So administrator, and then check names, so it will get the names on its own. And then we have the administrator user, and we can apply and OK. So we have enabled the settings. So if we want to access this virtual machine, what we need to do is we need the IP address. So let's refresh here, and you will notice that remote desktop is enabled. So now let's go to our host machine and create the RDP link. So let's minimize this one, and if we have a look at our task manager, so you will see you can notice that our CPU and memory usage is very low till now. So now what we need to do is we need the IP address of our PC. So if I type MST, you will find the remote desktop application which we can use to connect to any server remotely. So you don't need any desk or anything. So here you will notice that I have some server names already which I have used in the past. So what we are going to use now is the IP address. So let's go to our Windows server that we are using for remote desktop. So Windows R CMD, and here we will write ipconfig, and this is our IP address. So 172.30.246.89. So this we have to put in our host machine where we are going to connect remotely. So MST, and here I'm going to put the IP address. So it's 172.30.246.89, and enter. So it will ask for the password. So now if you enter the password, it might tell you that the password is wrong. So I'm using the password for the remote machine, and it is saying login attempt failed. So we are going to use a different user, and in the username we'll put administrator, and then we give the password. So administrator and the password. So the password is test server 123, and then we press enter, and it will give us this dialog. So we press yes, and you can see that we are in our remote desktop machine. So you will notice that we have our IP address at the top and remote desktop connection. So it means that we are connected remotely, and the other machine will go to the login page. So if we log in here, it will log out from the other one. So if I enter the password here, you will notice that our connection will stop because someone else is using the machine. So now we are going to close everything. So here you can see that we are disconnected. So let's close this one, and we will close the Hyper-5 manager as well. So if you notice that this is our Hyper-5 manager and our virtual machine is running. So if we close the Hyper-5 manager, it will still keep running. So this is for the display resolution. So you can see that our virtual machine is still running. So let's close this one here. And now just for your information, that if I open the Hyper-5 manager again, our virtual machine will keep running. So if you close it, you will find the virtual machine running. And now we are connecting with our RDP link. So we click on use a different account. So you can see that I am already on administrator account, and you can see that I have access to my virtual machine, which is the remote desktop machine. So what we have to do now is we have to create an RDP link. So you can notice that we have our IP address 172.30.246.89. So now we will create the link because we don't have the link till now. So to create the link, we will open the remote desktop application. So you can press MST. So you can see that this is the RDP link. So we go to MST and remote desktop application, and here we have to save it. So let's click on save as, and you can see that we have the link here. So we'll put the same test server RDP, and then we can save it on desktop. And here we will select the allow me to save credentials so that it can save the password, and then we click on accept, and when we enter our password, it will save it. So test server 123 and remember me, and we have access to our remote machine again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close everything. So here you can see that everything is closed, and if I go to Hyper-V Manager, our virtual machine is running. So I'm going to double click on it, and we can confirm that our virtual machine is running. So let's save the display resolution and connect, and I'm going to put the password, and you can see that I'm in our virtual machine. So this is running. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut it down, and I will show you something. So this virtual machine is shut down now. So we don't want to reconnect, and now you can notice here that if I go in DVD drive, I can select none because we don't need the ISO image now because our operating system is already installed. And now if I open this RDP link and try to connect, because our virtual machine is switched off, it will give us an error, just to show you or to confirm. So here you can see that it is still trying to connect, but it will give an error because our virtual machine is switched off. So we have an error. Now I'm going to Hyper-V Manager, and we will switch on our virtual machine again. So we double click on it and press start, and let's continue, and we press the start button. Okay, and now our virtual machine is booting. So we have to select the Windows server. Okay, we press enter button, and now it is booting. So our virtual machine is booted up. It has booted up, and we can enter the password. So test server 123, and now you can see that our virtual machine is ready. So I'm going to close it now. So this is closed, and Hyper-V Manager is available, where you can see that our virtual machine is running. And I will just double click on it, and don't ask me again, and connect. So this is our IP, and if I connect, it will not ask for the password or anything. It will just open the virtual machine. So now you just need to click on that link. So when you click on this link, it will just open our virtual machine. So you can keep your server running, and then you can create the link to use the virtual machine or the Windows server. So this is very simple. So I hope you have understood. So if you are finding this video informative, you can press the like and subscribe button. So now let's go to our next step. So Hyper-V Manager, and here you can see that we have a virtual machine running. So if I double click, and it will just open very easily. So I'm going to do another thing. So let me try to make it small. So from the other side, so let's make a small box of it. So this is our virtual machine, which we are using as remote desktop. And if any another user which has access physically to the server, if he is trying to log in, our remote desktop will stop, because there is another user which is logging in with the same user credentials. So he used the administrator account and he logged in. So our remote desktop will break. Desktop connection will break. So you can only use at one location only, either in the server itself or as remote desktop. So it will not work at both of the locations. If you have two different users, it will work then. So because you have two different users and you have only one server, it will work. So that's how you can create virtual machines, and you can use it as a remote desktop virtual machine as well. So in the settings, you can change the memory processor. So it is using 6 virtual processors. This you can change, and then if you go to add hardware, you can add some hardware as well, and firmware you can notice that it has the boot order and everything. And here you can add the devices as well. For example, if you click on add hardware, you have the SCSI controller, network adapter or fiber channel adapter. So these are the settings that you can use, and then you have some other settings that you can scroll. For example, you can create a checkpoint, which is like a snapshot, or you can export this virtual machine, you can move it, you can delete it. So these are the normal options that you can use whenever you need. So I hope you will like this video and subscribe the channel if you are new here. So before I finish the video, let me show you an important point. So on the left you have the server. So if you mistakenly click on remove server, don't think that your virtual machines will be deleted. So let's try to click on remove server, and it will look like this. So now you have to connect to the server. So click on connect to the server and click on local computer and press OK, and your virtual machine configuration will come back. So that's it for today's video. Like, comment, share and subscribe, and I will see you in another video.